Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test. Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor Member Bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
The Gulf South
to your corner of the world.
This is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
From the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana, good evening. Welcome, my friends, to DX Central Live. It's Friday night, and I know where our DX is. It's on the AM bands tonight. Maybe a little bit on FM, too. We've got a little Tropo here, a little Gulf Tropo, so maybe we can find some of that while we're at it. Oh, man, what a great week. I have crossed the threshold here for my DXing here in Mandeville. We'll talk about that. Had a pretty successful week on our Frequencies of the Week for the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge. So that's been fun. No lightning in sight on our map over here. That's going to change pretty soon, though. We'll be getting some storms, I think, early next week. So probably have to unplug everything all over again. Seems like every little while it's time to unplug everything and wait out the storms and listen to the static crashes. But hopefully you guys have had some great conditions. I've seen some solar conditions that were kind of meh. I've seen some folks talk about some southern openings and all kinds of stuff. I've been looking out west, northwest and west here from our North Shore Studios and getting some results out of that, actually. So, like I said, we'll talk about that. We'll do some shout-outs later on for all of you. I'll be here in a bit. I'll let you know when to let me know in the chat, and we'll write down any of those shout-outs for new logs, new states, new countries. So get those gathered up and ready to submit for us here to do a shout-out later on. Of course, we have our results from week 10 of the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge when we were DXing on the expanded band last week, and it was another great one. I mean, we did that last year. We did an expanded band week last year, and it was our biggest week of the year, And this week, I think so far it's been the biggest week of this year so far as well. So looking forward to sharing those results with you all. And obviously we're finishing up on 1290 through 1302, and we're getting ready to start our week 12 of the medium wave frequency challenge here a bit later on, and in the program, on our second top of the hour time frame. But we have our first top of the hour time frame coming up. I've been doing a lot of DX. Been using the Perseus like usual with the Jaguar software and the two kHzs, the Northwest and Northeast kHz. Looking for stuff on 1290 and 1300. Also been spending some time with the RSPDX this week with the Phaser. And you guys know I put up the Phaser video last week. We'll show a little clip of that in a bit, so that in case you haven't seen that yet, you'll have a chance to take a look at the Phaser video as we talk about how to use phasing in AMDXing. I'm also working on some other stuff I can't talk about just yet, but some other things that might do a follow-up to that video, might warrant a follow-up to that video. So keep your ears to the ground on that one. So we've been doing the RSPDX, did a little bit with the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, but most of this week has been with the Perseus. And actually didn't even spend a lot of time in the shack proper. I had my iPad with my Google Remote desktop, and it was in the living room or in the bedroom, just kind of sitting there with the earbuds in, kind of just scanning DX as I was going to sleep, or as I was waking up in the morning, kind of seeing what came in overnight, things like that. It's been pretty fun. If you haven't used Google Remote Desktop, it's pretty cool, actually. It's totally free, and you can either share, obviously, your screen, your desktop screen from a computer to any device. You can do it on like a tablet. I have it on my iPad. I have it on my iPhone. And you can sit there and you can zoom in and pinch in and control your dials, just like if you were sitting at your computer and you have the audio coming through your earphones, your headphones, or whatever, just like you normally would. But you can DX from your SDR shack if you have it like set up in your shack, but you don't feel like going in there. Maybe you're on a vacation or something, especially as a lot of us are probably going to be traveling for the holidays coming up here pretty soon. A lot of folks will be. Well, you can bring your DX with you and see what you're hearing back home. We'll show that a little bit later on. I might demonstrate some Google Remote Desktop for us a bit. But the big thing we're here for is the live DX. So we'll be getting started with that here in just a few moments. And again, we'll have shout outs later. We'll have our DXC tweet of the week a little bit later on, our results video, and this is coming up hour, our announcement later on in the hour for the new frequency. We got a lot to get to tonight, so let's go ahead and get started with our live DX. Of course, this hour of live DX is brought to you by National Radio Club, nationalradioclub.org. For more information. Let's see. Bit overmodulated, says Bill. All right, well, let's take a tackle on that here. I had to turn it up recently because it was a bit undermodulated, and I'm trying to find a good balance here between the two, between over and under. Is that a little bit better? I tend to get a little excited at the beginning, and then it kind of calms down as we go along the show. But let me know if in the chat that's a little bit better here for us. So we have the couple of SDRs up and running here. We've got the Jaguar software with the Perseus SDR and the twin kHz deployment, our Lankford-Misek Phaser. We also have our RSPDX with the twin W6 LVP loops and the MFJ-1026 Phaser running SDR Uno software. And over here on the laptop, we also have the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery with our 16x50 Superloop, our SDR Sharp software, and the Colin Newell vactrol. So we're going to start here really quick. We're going to just do a round robin through all of those before we get to the top of the hour here. So let's start with the Perseus and see what we have. Been spending a lot of time on 1290 this week. Let's take a look real quick and see what's on 1300. Alright, let's see. How's that? Is that any better here? I want to make sure that my microphone's coming over the SDR audio at the same time, but also want to make sure I'm not like driving it too hard. So just let me know. I might have accidentally bumped the gain or something on the back of the microphone here. We're looking northwest. at 305 degrees. See if that's any better. I pulled back the gain a little bit. It's weird. I haven't changed any settings from last week. I don't. That's the weird thing. I've turned the gain on the mic all the way down, attenuated 12 dB on the mixer. I don't have any preamp or anything in here. Weird. Is the SDR sounding hot too? Or is it just the mic? Top of the hour. Okay, that'll work then. If y'all say it sounds better. So weird. I haven't touched any settings on it. I wonder. Nope. All the settings are exactly the same. It's so weird. That's muted. Everything's muted. But it shouldn't be on. Nah, I can't pull that one out. That's kind of rough, isn't it? John, if that was on 1290, that's HKY to be HKY in Hickory. If you're hearing that 102.3 on 1290. Let's go over here to our RSP, our Air Spy. See what we got over here on 1290. Looking 280 degree west. We've got it here. HKY, I think IRL was another one I was getting that had the Fox News this week on 1290. Let's just take a quick look at that RSPDX as well while we're at it here and see what we got coming over here as well. We've got our loop pointed at 330 degrees, so north of northwest here. Let's take a look on, let's go back to 1290 for now, and then we'll pop up to 1330. We know who that is. So here's that phasing power again. Here's with the phasing off. There used to be JNO in there, also with Fox News. They're doing the weather right now.
Wind will be from the east and northeast at 5% miles per hour. Tomorrow night, a few showers with a low of above 40. It's 48 and cloudy. From the WHKY
oh, never mind.
24-hour weather center, I'm Maria Lopez.
that Spanish music in there, what you're hearing, Bill? Oh, never mind. That's us. That's Jennings. KJEF, Cajun Radio. We're going to stay here for a second on this one. Oh, they're not as easy to hear upper sideband. Give me cornbread. Give me cornbread. So, the story about that particular song, my wife and I, we go down into the French Quarter fairly regularly. Even before we moved back home down here, we would go down a couple times a year down to the French Quarter, and there's a club down there that plays Zydeco and Cajun music, and that's where we always would go. We wouldn't go to the other stuff and all the crazy. We just go to it's called the Bayou Club, and that's where we would go hang out. And we got to become friends with some of the bands that played there. And there's this one particular band that plays there every Friday and Saturday night, just about, that we become really, really tight with. And that's one of their staple songs, Give Me Cornbread. And so that's one of the ones, whenever we hear that song, we jump up and we're out dancing on the dance floor, having a good time. So that's a special song for my wife and I. So excited to hear that on Cajun Radio just now. I looked, and no one else actually heard KJEF this week. A little disappointing. I was hoping somebody would be able to hear them over WHKY and WHIO and some of the others that were so prevalent. We're going to look at some medium wave frequency challenge results from last week here in just a bit when we come back after this quick break. So don't go anywhere, my friends. More live DX and a whole lot more is on the way right here on DX Central Live.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AM/DX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AM/DXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News member bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
A room key, your cell phone, credit card, that's it. That's all you carry with you in the quarter. Welcome, my friends. DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. And we are having a good time already. We just got started, and the DX hasn't even really gotten going. We've got some shout-outs to get to a little bit later on. I'll be looking for those in the chat here in just a few moments. We're going to go ahead and do our results video from week number 10, which was the expanded band here in a moment. We've got our DXC tweet of the week, our new frequency of the week. We're going to check our TIS hard challenge. We're going to look at some other useful tools for the DXer. A little sneak peek at or a little teaser for our phaser video that we did this week, so you guys can check that out. But the big news here for DX Central, you guys know last week, the big announcement was we hit 1,000 subscribers, which means now we're able to monetize the channel. I resisted that for a long time. I didn't want to monetize the channel. It was just, I just didn't like the idea. I wanted to keep this kind of ad free in a way, or have more control. Let me adjust my fuzziness. There we go. I wanted to have more control over which ads would appear on my channel. I wanted to pick which advertisers, you guys, when you watch my videos, what you would see. And then YouTube decided they were going to go out and put ads on all channels, regardless if they were monetized or not. And I said, well, if they're going to do that, then at least I want to be able to take the money from that, take a cut of that, and turn it back into the channel so I can invest that back into DX Central for more reviews and gear and stuff that we need to do what we need to do here for you guys. So we hit the 1,000 subscribers landmark last week, which made us eligible for monetization. So submitted all the stuff and got the notice today that we are now officially accepted into the monetization program. So you'll start seeing ads probably a little bit more on some of the videos, at least the beginning, things like that. Which you're going to see those anyway, right? The videos are going to be there no matter what. But at least now you know that some of that's coming back into the channel that we can reinvest back in to give you guys more stuff. And there's some other things that we're in the works on, trying to get some stuff going here that I'm pretty excited about. We'll hopefully have some updates on soon. But yeah, so it's a very exciting time. And I wanted to take this opportunity to say, again, thank you all. Those of you who are watching this stream, if you know, a lot of you are here every week, which means the world to me. A lot of you watch, our videos when we push those out, our air check videos, our DX 101 videos. I want to expand some of that a bit and do more of that kind of stuff. Some of you are watching this live stream after the fact. Maybe you weren't able to catch us live. You're watching after the fact. That's awesome. That means you really want to seek us out and see what we have to offer as far as our content goes. If you're watching it a live stream, not live, that just means so much. So thank you all so much for your support. It really has been an amazing ride so far these first 2.5 years, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's behind the next 2.5 years and beyond here for DX Central. I think we got some cool stuff on tap for you all. All right, let's go ahead and do our results video from week number 10. The blog post will be up here at around just before 8 o'clock. We'll have our new frequency of the week with our Google form for the frequency of the week for week 12. It'll have our results video that we're about to show now, and also the raw data. So dxcentralonline.com, make sure you have that sucker bookmarked, and the blog post will be, like I said, right a couple minutes before 8 o'clock Central Time. You'll have that blog post up with all the links and everything you need. So without further ado, let's take a look back to last week's week 10 in the expanded band and see how we did. All right, thank you to all who participated in our week 10 of the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge, and congratulations to all of you who were category winners or overall winners or close to being winners or just being a part of it. We had a decent week, 27 stations logged during the course of the week. Added Virgin Islands for the first time here in Mandeville. That was awesome. Added Maryland for the first time here in Mandeville. That was awesome. So it was a successful week for us last week. So happy to see some folks get some new wins in there. I know some folks got new countries and things like new states for the first time because of the challenge last week, or from the DX they did from the challenge. So always happy to see that. Again, we'll be doing, speaking of new stuff, let me get my book ready. Be doing some shout outs here in a bit. We're gonna be writing you down here in the DXC Live journal, where we keep all of our records and everything else, the hallowed annals of DX Central Live right here in this notebook. So we'll be checking for some shout outs here in a bit for new logs, new states, new countries. And we'll be doing our announcement for the week 12 frequencies of the week coming up a bit later on this hour. So I mentioned something a few moments ago I wanted to kind of talk about a bit. Let's look at Google Remote Desktop. So let me show my my screen over here. So if you do a search for Chrome Remote Desktop or Google Remote Desktop, there's an extension that you can download into Chrome, or you can also download the overall app that's like a desktop app on your computer as well. And what this allows you to basically do is you can set up however many computers you need to be able to set up within your account. And no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have an internet connection and power, you can connect to those computers. And so, for instance, let me actually show you guys here. I'm going to log into my remote desktop here. Let me do it into the main computer. I'm going to do it on my phone so you can see. And this is what I do. I'll grab my earbuds, my little AirPods or whatever, and you can see it there. That's my desktop right there. That's the Jaguar. And then let me see if I can show you guys here. There is our OBS software right there. There is my RSPDX and SDR Uno, which that is actually being streamed through Google Remote Desktop from my laptop to my big computer, and then now it's being streamed from the big computer to my phone. So I have two instances of Remote Desktop streaming this particular piece of software that goes now to my phone. So if I'm anywhere in the world, as long as I have a connection on both ends, I can DX as if I'm sitting there. So last night I was sitting in bed, and I had my iPad sitting next to the bed, had my earbuds in, and I was sitting on 1300 at around 1 o'clock this morning, and I logged kHz in Tulsa, Oklahoma on 1300 for the first time, which was pretty cool because I hadn't heard them yet, and I was able to hear them on my Perseus, my Jaguar software, using my iPad from laying in bed. I remembered many a nights, whether it was DX tests or even just, there were nights where I would be up super late when I was a kid, 13, 14-year-old, sitting at the kitchen table in this cabin that we were living in, or even when we got into our house there in Brasstown, just upstairs in the house, all hours of the night by myself, late, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Kind of creepy when you're that age, right? It's kind of creepy to be up that late by yourself in a very heavily wooded area like we were in, and I thought it might have been nice to be able to have the technology to actually sit downstairs in my bedroom with a tablet or my laptop or whatever and DX remotely like that. I got the idea from this, actually. There's a DXer, I forget where he is. He's out west or maybe Canada. I wish I could remember where he's located, but he has a remote location set up with all of his antennas in his gear. So he has like big, huge tract of land, right? And he's got a shack sitting on that land, like a shed or like just a small dwelling. Computers and stuff in there with SDRs, climate controlled, security cameras and alarms, all that kind of stuff, internet connection and power, and all that's fit in. And then all of these massive antennas are there. Has his computer set up so that all the SDRs and everything are set up into these computers and everything, and they're all streaming out from Google Remote Desktop to broadcast that desktop back to his computer at his house or his phone or his tablet or whatever. And so he can DX using these amazing antennas that he wouldn't be able to have any other way on his normal lot on his house because the house lot's too small. He can't have a beverage on a less than a quarter of an acre lot. But he does. He has this amazing stuff. He gets around HOA restrictions that way. So if we're really going to be serious about DX, everybody, maybe we should be looking to invest in 5-10 acres of land, put a shack in the middle of it with all of our gear, big antennas, and remote desktop that into our condo or our apartment or wherever we are, right? It would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? So yeah, that's what got me the idea about using remote desktop to do this kind of stuff. And even with just this, because my computer in here in this room, and if I don't want to go all the way to the other side of the house, or if I just want to lay in bed in DX, well, I can do that. and I can still enter everything in my logbook and my Access database because it's right here on this computer. I can still use all my online resources that I usually use through my web browser because it's on this computer. Everything, it's just like I'm sitting here, but I'm at the other end of the house. It's pretty cool. All right, so we're going to do some more live DX here and get started with that. Let's continue on with the Perseus. And let's go to 1290 here. If we're stuck with HKY, I might bounce us over somewhere else, or maybe I can try to phase them out with the Lankford-Misek phaser over here. But let's do a little 1290 time here and see what we got coming up here at the bottom half of the hour. While we're doing that, I'm going to jump over here to the chat with you guys in a few moments when we get started on the audio, and we're going to start looking for shout outs. So get those ready and type up those shout outs for me so we can go ahead and get you some log salt or whatever it might be. I know one person in the chat right now that's getting some fireworks. We'll talk about that in a bit.
This year, the choice is simple, and Red Land Cotton is the answer. This Christmas, wrap up with Red Land Cotton soft roll blankets and watch out for wonderful ones. Start off with their signature sheets and wait for Santa's arrival. Try off with their plush new spot towels and relax at home in their
all right, let's see them.
loungewear while you take the season. All this is made right here in America from cotton grown on the Sager family farm in Alabama.
Jeff, I think that's him. I think it's a VA6. I forget his full call, but you're right. I think he's in Alberta, Manitoba. I think so, yeah. Alberta. That's it, David. That's it. Actually, permit me for a second, no, you guys. You got to see this because it's really impressive. He has a YouTube channel, and I highly recommend if you're into ham radio or radio in general. VE6WZ, that's his ham call, and his YouTube channel as well. And you'll see here, this is it. This is the remote station. This is the tour inside. This is the control setup. And he's got design and construction. So, I mean, this is just really awesome stuff. So let's just look at the tour inside. Let's start with that here. Let me go back to the beginning of the video. Just look at this.
The shack, the trailer, as we call it. This is a standard construction trailer. Many you will see them at construction sites here in Alberta. They're used a lot at oil and gas well site facilities as well. It's 10 feet by 24 feet long. I bought it used from an auction. It is heated with electric baseboard heating. There's 2 baseboard heaters. And what I did do is wall off one portion of the shack. Again, it's 24 feet long, and that end section is only 7 feet. What I did was build a insulated wall and an outdoor steel insulated door. So especially during the winter, the room I'm in now, the workroom, is mostly kept cold, relatively cool. It's kept above freezing, whereas the equipment room is kept at a more comfortable temperature. Also in the equipment room is an air conditioner so that during the summer it's kept cool, and a smaller space is easier to keep cool. So this end is my workroom. I have all of my equipment here. I have a workbench, which I use a lot. I mean, gosh, you know, it's really handy to have the ability to work up here and repair the equipment. All of my tools and paraphernalia that I require. One other thing I normally will keep my chainsaws in the outdoor garage, but during the winter I keep them in here, since when I come up with if I have a downed tree, it's much easier to gain access to the saws and effect a repair. Let's go into the radio room and I'll show you the equipment. The equipment is all housed on a standard storage rack that can be purchased from most home building stores. I mean, it's really simple. It's just it's a steel rack, a steel frame with wooden shelves. And the benefit of this, and my plan all along, was by locating this in the center of the room, I'm able to walk around full 360 degrees to affect and provide access to all of the equipment, and to be able to route wiring easily to all of the equipment. The other thing I did do was build a shelf, simple wooden shelf here to house the PC monitors. I have 3 PCs here. The one is the main computer, which is used for logging and radio control and switching. Another one is the camera, my security system, as well as my SDR skimmer RBN PC, and the one at the top, which is, I don't know, it's currently idle. That's used for my Perseus radio and Jaguar medium wave DXing PC, which is located out here. Let's tour the equipment rack.
AMDX in there, right? He's still, with all that, he's using some of it for AM. Love it.
Equipment rack here at the bottom. I can just work my way up. I've got a new addition to the shack.
All right, I'm not gonna play the whole thing. You guys check out VE6WZ. He goes into really awesome detail about the inside of the shack that he has here. And then, like I said, he's also got videos that does the tour from the outside that shows the actual control setup here. So when he's at his home, how he can control everything from that remote setup. He's got this design construction video, so definitely check him out, VE6WZ. Especially if, I mean, in general, I mean, if you just like watching stuff like that, like I do, I just love that kind of information. It gives me ideas and stuff. But also, if you're looking for what you think might be some good ideas for like a remote desktop remote setup, so you can DX remotely from a different location, which is something that I am kicking the tires on, we'll say that. I don't have anything anywhere remotely even begun on that, so don't get excited. I don't have anything crazy, but I have begun the thought of, if I were to do this, what would it look like? And so maybe one day we can do that. We don't know, because buying a house on that amount of land, especially in this area, you can usually find big tracts of land like that, but finding one that's not super flood prone might be a little difficult. I don't care if antennas flood, as long as the shack itself doesn't flood, but finding a house on big tracts of land like that, a little harder. So maybe I can compromise and do a little bit of both like that. Use the V6WC method to get me there. Let's go back in. Let's do some live DX here. We're back on the Jaguar software and the Perseus with the 2 kHz. And so, yes, let us know in the chat. So far, I've written down Sean and Haley. Carl, saw you mentioned some new some logs in there. Were those new? And if so, was that all you got this week, new ones? If so, I'll get you a shout out there. But Sean and Haley, I got yours in. Anybody else with new ones this week? New logs, new states, new countries, send them over. Got you in there, Justin. Welcome, my friend. Good live stream last week, by the way, man. So this is going to be, I just moved it to the Northeast CAS. So this will be HKY probably in there a bit better now. Oh, John. Is Maine new for you? Or is that a real new log in a state you already have. We got a little Christmas music under Mark Levine. Nice, John. Nice. I've got one, and it's not in my lifetime log. Trying some tweaks here to see if we can get something besides HKY. Hey, Steve. Yeah, the Mark Levine, Justin, is HKY in Hickory. I've also had JNO in Florida down here in West Palm and IRL in Peoria. At times hearing all three of those, at least, echoing Mark Levine, Fox News, Sean Hannity, that kind of stuff. So that's been the big three this week for me on 1290. We've also had, obviously from my side, KJEF in Jennings, Louisiana. Cajun radio has been pretty prevalent. And at times to be BTG here in Sheffield, Alabama has been pretty prevalent with their nostalgic music. So those are the kind of the main ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Main 5 that I've been hearing this week. A couple of surprises. We did get WCBL this week. Got it last night. Reviewing a recording from... What time was that? Around 8 o'clock last night. Yeah. Last night we got them. First time hearing them. KUOA in Arkansas. That was actually our station number 600. TYL here in Tylertown, Mississippi, just to my north. That's been in there during the daytime, but that's all we've had them in. Haven't heard them after daytime. I haven't had... This is the biggest surprise, because when I first started DXing here, I thought it was going to be just... all Crockett all the time here, because every time I tuned to 1290 it was KIVY and Crockett. Not a hint of them all week, not even a titter of them all week. I've heard some nostalgic music. Every time I've heard it, it's turned out to be BTG. So I don't know, maybe this Christmas music could be KIVY. I don't know. I'm very, very surprised, because I used to hear them constantly here. Now I haven't heard a thing from them this week. Didn't hear either of the two stations down here, Panama or Op, that were used to be silent, are now apparently back on the air. Haven't heard them officially this week. I've had sometimes where I thought maybe it was them. So, and then there's the Southern Gospel station that some of you know I was chasing this week, which I never did figure out who it was. I'm still leaning towards either KALM, which I don't think it's them. Or possibly one of these two over here, Op or Panama City, but I doubt it. I doubt it's one of those. I'm pretty sure it's not Op. When I tuned to their live stream one time, it was oldies music. So I doubt you don't go from oldies to Southern Gospel, at least not on a middle of a Monday or whatever day it was, middle of the week. Maybe on a Sunday you might carry. I mean, I used to work at a station that did 70s, 80s, 90s music, but then on Sundays we did Southern Gospel, but that's a whole special thing. But in the middle of the week, on the afternoon, you're not going to go from Hall & Oates to, bluegrass styled gospel. So I don't know. That's going to be interesting to want to see if I flesh it out. I know Bill was hearing some religious stuff, chasing the same Southern Gospel, and heard to be DZY in Virginia, which was who I thought this was. But every time I've listened to their live stream, it wasn't Southern Gospel. It was a preacher. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll keep listening and see if we can figure out some surprises this week. I'm surprised I didn't hear Coil up in Omaha in Rick's neck of the woods. I'm very surprised I didn't hear them. I'm very surprised I didn't hear WTKS in Savannah. I used to hear them pretty regularly, but I didn't hear a peep out of them. And then KIVY. I'm surprised I didn't hear anything out of them. So what are you gonna do? I got you in there, Dennis. Got your new ones. All right, so far I've got Sean in there, I've got Carl, I've got Haley, I've got Justin, I've got John, I've got Dennis, I've got Bill. Am I missing anybody for shout-outs? Let me know. Yeah, I every time I heard their stream, it was always preaching, and their program schedule always showed like preaching or like sermon type programming, John. So I didn't see anything. I did have one clip. I'll see if I can pull it up that I grabbed from the Southern Gospel station. I'll see if you guys can make out any details. I heard the song end, and then a female talking about the name of the song and the group that the song was played by, and then I think she said her name. If I remember right, it was Cindy. I think it was Cindy. I didn't catch her last name. I never caught an ID. So I'll see if I can dig that clip up here in a bit and play it for you guys and see if y'all can maybe dig it out a bit more than I could, because it was infuriating just to have this little glimmer of maybe something new and cool and gone. Let's do a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do some more live DX, and we're going to get ready for our announcement for week number 12 of the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge. Can't believe we're already to that point here. So there we go. So my friends, don't go away. I'll be right back with more live DX right after this from DX Central Live.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teak Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teakpublishing.com for more information. That's teakpublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
I've also got Sprite. A little bit left. It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. And we come to you every Friday night at 6:45 Central Time. That's 00:45 UTC. And we bring you live AMDX and sometimes FMDX if we're able to, if the conditions are warranting it. I was actually checking Bill Hepburn's propagation forecast map earlier for Tropo, and it looks like most of the Tropo tonight is kind of a little further to our south. We've been getting some really thick, foggy nights here in the Gulf and Deep South here the last week or so. And so some opportunities for some FM Tropo DX have made their way around. I was hearing Mobile, Alabama the other day pretty loud. If I hear them at all under normal conditions, it's super weak, but I usually don't. I don't hear them out that far. Not with my current setup. I'm sure if I had a super high, like 10 element Yagi or 9 element Yagi, I might have a shot, but I don't. So, but when they do come in during Tropo, they are super loud. So that was earlier this week, and the fog just was kind of settling in. So we were in that kind of that season, I guess. We didn't get one in the fall. Really, we didn't really have much Tropo in the fall like we usually do. So I guess now we're getting it now in December, because now it's fall apparently, because it's like 80 degrees outside today. So love it. We're getting ready for our medium wave frequency challenge announcement for week 12 of the frequency challenge, and getting ready for that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do something a little different tonight. We're gonna go ahead and announce it, and then I'm going to pull up a website that I've actually forgotten about. Till you guys reminded me of it recently. Bill actually reminded me of it. I completely forgot about this website. So we're going to use this website to help us as we look at these medium wave frequency challenge frequencies moving forward to identify some potential targets. So without further ado, my friends, let's go ahead and take a look at our frequencies of the week for week 12. right, so we're going down low, 576 to 600. I wanted to keep that 9 kilohertz stuff in there and have a couple options for our 9 kilohertz folks. We have some folks that DX over in the Netherlands and elsewhere, so I wanted to make sure we kept a couple of options in there for them, but we've already done 603, so I didn't want to do that whole thing where I extend it out. We've already done 570, so basically right there, 576, 580, what's that, 585, 590, 594, and 600. Those are our frequencies for the week coming up here for week 12, and I'll give you guys the Google form here in a bit, but it'll be up here in about 5 or 6 minutes or so up on our website on the blog. So what I want to do though is I want to take a look at a website here called NF8M, sorry, NF8M.com. If you go to NF8M, man, his call sign is hard to say, NF8M. That would be tough in a contest. NF8M. He has an area here on his website for amateur radio nighttime and daytime patterns, and he also has critical hours here, but he basically takes FCC data and some other things and puts it all together for some other sources, and boom, you have these kind of nighttime patterns. So let's take a look really quick before we get to the top of the hour, and look at some of these for each of our main US frequencies, 580, 590, 600, and kind of see what we can expect to look at. So I think this is gonna be a fun exercise for us to start doing moving forward. One of the cool things you can also do is you can actually come in here and say, I don't want to see any plots, no patterns, and then you can select and see specific ones that you want to look at. So let's just say you're like, I really just want to look at this one here in Colorado and see what my options look like. You click on it, click on the plot, and then hit redraw, and now you can see the nighttime pattern here for this station in Colorado. I barely have a chance in hell getting this guy. So let me just go back and do our all plots again. So here are the stations that have nighttime signals or nighttime patterns here in the US and Canada on 580. So some options here, right? Some pretty cool options. WDBO here in Florida is going to be a pretty big one in the southeast, I feel like. Kansas, WIBW is going to be a big one here for a lot of the Midwest and even here into the Gulf South. But KJMJ, this is the one that I'm trying to get around. I just got to get away from these guys here. KJMJ here in Alexandria is going to be my big one that I have here to have to kind of contend with. But there's a bunch up here up the coastline. You can see though a lot of overlap, and then West Coast, look at this, KMJ, that's going to be your big one out there for the West Coast folks. Look how far out into the ocean that signal goes. That's pretty awesome. Even in the Northwest with KIDO and things like that. So you guys have some options here on 580, I think, to get some pretty cool stuff. Got some stuff up in Quebec, or in Ontario rather, and then up here in Calgary, Alberta. Most of that signal is going north, as you can see, but there may be some of you that might have a shot here in the Pacific Northwest of getting something on 580 from them. Let's look at 590. I'm keeping an eye on the clock here for us. 590, pretty similar. Now, obviously, from a Latin American perspective, 590 is going to be heavily Cuban influenced, and there's also some stations in Mexico, I think, on 580 and 590, if I remember correctly. But a lot of Cuban influence here on 590, but you can see we've got some stuff in the southeast. Look at KXSP here in Omaha. Sorry, Rick, if you're in the chat, man. I know that 590 is gonna be a wash for you, and probably some splatter from 580 and 600 from them as well is gonna be a little bit difficult, but you can see big signal for them into a good part of the country. Big signals here. KSUB here in Utah is going to be a pretty big one, I predict. This one here in Florida here, the AFC is going to be a pretty big one. This one always was a pretty big one here. Actually, that's WD. That was the one in Atlanta that I used to hear a lot. Here on the East Coast, you guys will have that. And then up into the Northeast as well, some nice signals. Look at this one. Who is that? KZO? Looks like they have a pretty big signal there as well. Let's look at 600. Another one that's going to have a lot of Cuban influence and some others. We hear Nicaragua here pretty regularly here. La Nueva Radio, yeah. Pretty regularly here in the Gulf South, along with Cuba. And into South America, there's I think some Colombians there, if I remember correctly, but definitely Cuba, a little bit of Mexico, and Nicaragua are the big ones here. And then look at some of these signals. You got big one, WMT. That's a massive one. That's going to be another fun one for Rick. Rick's just getting pounded here on this week. WVOG here in New Orleans, going to be a big one. KTBB in Tyler, that's going to be a big one. REC in Memphis, that's going to be a dominant one for us as well. Out west, look what you got. You've got you got a big one here from KOGO in San Diego. Up in the Pacific Northwest, you've got some Vancouver in here. A little bit up in, look how far north we're going here with CJWW. Maybe some folks in this area might have a shot. And then you can see some of the ones that are beaming up north here from Canada as well. So pretty good assortment here. And even some, look at these that are just kind of bulbous out here into the Atlantic off of some of these on the East Coast here, just wasting that signal that we could grab if we had a chance. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump up to down rather. Let's go start with 580 because I want to see if I can hear something other than KJMJ. And already I can tell you, no, that's them. I can already tell you that's them. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about Topaz too, as well. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to do a top of the hour alert. This hour of Live DX is brought to you by International Radio Club of America, IRCAonline.org. It's go time, my friends. Let's see what we got on 580. Let's see if I can get rid of KJMJ here. Remember how HKY has been our pest this week? This is mine for 580. I get excited. I'm like, oh, I got some. Oh, no, it's KJMJ.
At 91.3 FM WRMW in Peshtigo.
There they are again.
Hello, Radio Maria family. This is Kathy Duggan, host of Sacred Treasures, which you can hear each Monday at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern.
welcome and loved by God. Pope Francis. And Radio Maria accompanies you waiting for the Savior close to United for Murray.
You're listening to Radio Maria, a Christian voice in Europe. No longer are they for more law.
All right, so right about the time that we got the top of the hour, what happened? Radio Maria, KJMJ comes in here and just swoops in and takes over. I was hearing a Spanish station that I believe is possibly one of the stations down here in Mexico, as my guess as far as who it was. Oh, that reminds me, Dennis 770 most likely is Colombia. They're pretty common underneath ABC, especially on good Latin conditions, was apparently we've been having some pretty good stuff lately. So I would say probably that's who that is Colombia. If you actually go look at their location and whatnot here real quick, let me show you what I'm talking about. Super big 100K transmitter. Not too far inland. That's RACNA is what you're listening for there. RACNA. If you hear RACNA, boop, you got Colombia. So let's go back to 580. Yeah, I there was a sports broadcast in there, a game, sound like maybe a high school game, basketball. Yeah, Sean, gonna be flooded, I hope, with a lot of stuff. There's WIBW. At least we got that in there. So there's KJMJ, WIBW, and possibly another station out of Mexico. I do miss, I'll tell you, out on the East Coast, I didn't realize how good I had it when I was in Charleston. I do miss Puerto Rico being as common as it was there. I mean, obviously I had nothing but salt water between me and Puerto Rico from Charleston, but I figured I would at least have a shot at him here, but it's not as easy as you think. Even the 1660 Puerto Rican, not super easy. So I do miss KAQ down there in Puerto Rico. Let's go back and see what we had top of the hour from 590 real quick. I'm sure we had something in there. That's kind of what I thought. We've got Mexico, XEFD, and XEPH I've heard here as well. And then we've got Radio Musical Nacional. So if you hear... I always say it sounds like, you know, when you have like orchestral movie soundtracks from like the 60s, 70s, stuff like that. That's what they kind of play. To me, it's what it sounds like orchestral movie soundtrack music from the 60s and 70s. That's what it feels like.
Más y que tengamos pues cada uno, ¿verdad? Ese fruto, esa provisión más que nada para compartir con los nuestros. Gracias, mi lovers. Ya me voy. Buenas noches. Aquí nomás. Hasta mañana.
WhatsAppando con la mejor. Por hoy descansa tu dedo y recarga la pila. Te esperamos en la próxima emisión de WhatsAppando con la mejor. Son las 8 en punto.
So that's our big one that we had here top of the hour on 590. La Mejor. XEFD in Reynosa. Right there on the border. Let me back up just a little bit. There was another station there. I want to make sure we didn't miss an ID.
Provisión más que nada para compartir con los nuestros. Gracias, mi lovers. Ya me voy. Buenas noches. Aquí nomás. Hasta mañana.
WhatsAppando con la mejor.
Did I hear Lexington? I think I heard Lexington, which would be VLK, which actually I think we need here. Hold on. Hold the phone. Have I got VLK? I'm going to rewind that here in a second and confirm that's what I heard. Right there at the top of the hour. VLK. No, we do not. Let me check one more source. May have forgotten to write it down there. Let me check the actual, like, authority source, my logbook. Here, 590. No, we do not. That's a new one. Just got it already. All right, nabbed a new one. Let me go back and make sure, though.
Esa provisión más que nada para compartir con los nuestros. Gracias, mi lovers. Ya me voy. Buenas noches. Aquí nomás. Hasta mañana.
Let me...
Y que, pues, cada uno, ¿verdad? Ese fruto, esa provisión más que nada para compartir con los nuestros. Gracias, mi lovers. Ya me voy. Buenas noches. Aquí nomás. Hasta mañana.
I heard the LK in there. It's obviously competing with the Mexican station. I think they were a little better in upper sideband. Let's try it one more time.
Pues cada uno, ¿verdad? Ese fruto, esa provisión más que nada para compartir con los nuestros. Gracias, mi lovers. Ya me voy. Buenas noches. Aquí nomás. Hasta mañana.
Yeah, that's them. WVLK. Oh, nice. Got a new one already. Very excited about that. National Anthem, Dennis. It's, 7 o'clock? Oh, no, it's 8 o'clock now. Probably Mark Levine. He usually does it around top of the hour. I think he's still on the air right now. Mark Levine would be my guess. If it's our national anthem. If it's the Mexican national anthem, obviously no. So I'm going to write that one down here in a second. WVLK, 8 o'clock. And let's go ahead and see what we had here at top of the hour on 600. I have a guess. I know who it's going to be.
This is AM 600 WGOG New Orleans, FM 107.9, W300DP, New Orleans Ministry Station. Juggling the gospel with the glory of the gospel. This is the Midnight broadcast.
And I think the Fox News is going to be either KTBB and Tyler, which just has a massive signal here sometimes, overtakes my local in New Orleans, or REC here in Memphis is probably one of the two it is. So let's go switch it to lower sideband, see if we can pull that ID in.
This is AM 600 WGOG New Orleans, FM 107.9, W300DP, New Orleans Ministry Station. Juggling DP, New Orleans Ministry Station.
KTBB, Tyler, that was Tyler. That was who that was.
With the glory of the gospel.
You hear the KTBB.com.
FM 107.9, W300DP, New Orleans Ministry Station. Juggling the gospel with the glory of the gospel. This is the movement.
I hear rebellion in there.
The judge denied today by the Department of Justice the
John E. Montgomery II, preaching the uncompromised Word of God. Dr. Montgomery is pastor of the Greater King David Baptist Church.
I hear SRN in there. Who runs SRN on 600 these days, I wonder? I heard an SRN sounder in there.
It ministers to the needs of all people. Serve the love of God. Join us now for an anointed message from God's Word for your life today. I'd like to call your attention to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 18.
Definitely hear rebellion in there.
2 Kings, chapter 18. Beginning at verse 3, recorded over you. 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 3 says, And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his holy word.
Troy, I think they've got like a 14. If remember right, if they have one, from what I remember when I looked at it previously, I think it's like 1400. It's on a graveyard frequency, so good luck. I I think they're mostly FM. And I did hear Bermuda FM one time when I was in Charleston. I was so happy about that. All right, so we've got 580, we've got 590, which the new one for us. We're going to go log in a second. And we got 600. Hope you all saw Earl's comment here with some instructions for us, so pay attention to that in the chat. Scroll up and see if you haven't seen already. We're getting ready to do some shout-outs here this hour. We'll do our shout-outs a bit later on, let you guys know what I heard this week a little bit later on in the program. But for now, we're getting ready to do some shout-outs here for us for week 12. Looking back the previous week, and we're going to saw some logs, and we're going to set off some fireworks. You guys ready? And if I don't get you in this round, I'll get another round in later on in the show when we do our accomplishments of the week as well. But first, let's switch to camera 1. All right. Let me get this guy over here out of the way so I don't knock into it and spill it, because I'm known to do that kind of stuff. All right, so we're going to do some celebrations, as you guys know we like to do around here on our DX Central Live broadcasts. Again, what we celebrate here, if you're new to the program, if you're watching and maybe you haven't been around for one of these before, what we celebrate is if somebody hears a new station to them, a new log, if they hear a new state that they had not heard before, or a new country that they had not heard before. So we like to celebrate all this kind of stuff together. We want to do this together so that we can give each other the applause and the pats on the back, because anytime you can add a new one to the log, it's always exciting. Anytime you can add new states or countries, it's even more so. But anytime you can add one to the logbook, we think that's worthy of recognition around here. So without further ado, let's start with Haley. 4 new ones for Haley this week. Congratulations, Haley! Rick's gonna be so pissed when he sees these frequencies this week, because it's just not a good one for him anywhere in there. Let's see. Justin, 4 new logs, including one tonight, my friend from Nebraska. Congratulations, Justin, our friend UB Studios. Make sure you follow him here on YouTube as well. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. He does live streams every other Saturday night, conditions permitting. He does a live stream here on YouTube as well from Minnesota. So a whole different look at the country from his point of view up there in Minnesota. So 4 new ones for Justin. Congratulations, my friend. All right. Let's go to Dennis. Dennis, 5 new ones for Dennis as well. And possibly, if we can get you in there, a new Colombian maybe. Nah. John got a new one. Lucky Duck's got 7 from the state of Maine. So I was over here thinking, oh, we got Maine for the first time, because, none of the rest of us ever hear Maine that don't live up, in New England. The Mark Conleys and the Bruce Contis of the world that hear Maine all the time, right? The rest of us are over here going, I just want 1. John's got 7, and he got a new one this week. 970 WZAN in Maine. Congratulations, my friend. Let's see what else we got in here. Bill, our resident bandhammer for the naughty sites. Have you noticed? We haven't had as many of those lately. I think maybe since I moved to Restream, we've scared them off. I don't know, but we haven't seen them around, or either that or Bill's just on top of it. So congratulations, Bill, to that and for your 7 new ones this week, my friend. By the way, in addition to having 7 stations from the state of Maine, the Lucky Duck, John's also crushing it in the TIS Hard Challenge. We'll be checking in on that again a little later on in the program as well, so we can kind of see how we're looking. But John is absolutely crushing it right now with all those TISs up there in the 95 corridor he has access to. So good job, my friend. 10 new ones for Carl, including 4 because of the challenge frequencies this week. So 4 on the challenge frequencies, 10 total new ones for our friend Carl. Congratulations, sir. So Bill's stealing all the hot dates for himself. Nice. Love it. And to our shout out here for our friend Sean. I bet you thought I forgot. I hadn't forgotten, my friend. You have 8 new ones this week, so you get the log treatment. So Sean, 8 new ones this week, but we're going to queue up some fireworks because Sean got KCKN 1020 out of New Mexico. Not only is that a new state for Sean, and we're about to cue the fireworks to celebrate that, that is the furthest west he has ever heard from his location. And I don't want to say it's the DXer. Obviously, the DXer did a lot of the work there, right? But that W6 LVP loop is kind of kicking butt for him right now. So congratulations, Sean, for a new state for you for New Mexico. So happy to hear you got that one, man. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And one here at the wire, we got our friend Earl got one new one this week. What was it? You said it was KDMS Arkansas 1290. I wanted them. I never heard them. I thought I did once, and then it was just gone. But new one for Earl this week out of Arkansas. Congratulations, my friend. Yeah, so that's a lot of new logs. We got plenty to keep us warm here this week. We'll get a little bit later on in the show here tonight. We'll give you guys what we had this week, because we had a very productive week as well, especially because of the frequency challenge. But we also did a couple of things outside of it, so we'll talk about that a bit later on as well in the show. All right, so we're doing live DX. We're sitting on our new frequencies of the week. We've got 580, we've got 590, we've got 560 for our friends overseas, or for those of our U.S. friends who can hear stuff from overseas. We've got 576, 585, and 594. So let's we've already done a couple here we've already gotten, and I've thrown the Google form in the link for that in the chat. And of course, you can, again, find it anytime you need to up on our website, dxcentralonline.com. Just scroll down till you get to the blog post, and it's already up. It should be there for you now. That has our results video from last week, our raw data from last week, and the Google form for this week. So you have all that in one spot for you right there on the website. While we're in the reminder mood, don't forget we're also on Twitter. Twitter.com/DXCentral. That's where you'll find us. And we've been up there this week talking a lot about what we're hearing, some cool stuff, some little snippets of things that we've been hearing. One of the things that we I threw out there, and I'm actually going to pull it up on here as well, because I want to see if you guys can help us out with this. If you hear anything that I maybe have missed. Actually, I don't think I need to do it that way. I think I can pull it over from here. Yes, I can go to my uploaded air checks. And I think it's under unidentified gospel short. There it is. All right, so I'm going to pull up a file for you guys. So I posted this on Facebook and put it on Twitter as well. We've had some discussions back and forth, some folks kind of guessing what it was. And what had happened was, as I was sitting on 1290 during my local sunset here in Louisiana, this was around 4:45-ish. I want to say it was either Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember which day it was, but it was around that time frame. And I had a station that was coming in playing Southern Gospel. Now, Southern Gospel is very, very unique. It's not gospel. It's not black gospel. It's not contemporary Christian. It's extremely unique format. And when I was living in the mountains of Western North Carolina, I heard it all the time. East Tennessee, Barry, you hear this stuff all the time, I'm sure, in Tennessee. It's all over the place. Tennessee, Kentucky, Western Virginia, parts of West Virginia, upper North Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina. It's just in that kind of region, right? Rob, if you're on the chat, I'm sure Rob hears this stuff all the time. Southern gospel is extremely unique in its format. It doesn't sound like any other form of religious or Christian or gospel music. Banjos, distinctive harmony, stuff like that. The instrumentation is very distinct as well. So I was hearing something along those lines. I was hearing Southern gospel. I was also hearing some black gospel. I also heard some other religious stuff. So I started pulling up web streams trying to figure out who this might have been. And I looked at like WXKL in North Carolina. It wasn't them because they were black gospel. Same thing with WJCV, I think, in Jacksonville, North Carolina. I think they were also black gospel. Then I looked at KALM in Thayer, Missouri, which was my target. I was thinking it was going to be them. They were playing contemporary Christian music, like poppy, which you might hear on like K-Love on FM, right? We hear that kind of stuff down the low end of the band during e-skip openings all the time, kind of that pop Christian, contemporary Christian music. That's what they were playing and usually are playing, and this wasn't that. There was a couple of other stations that I tried, and just nothing was fitting. Nothing was matching up. It wasn't Jennings, Louisiana, because they're just all Cajun swamp music all the time. It wasn't to be TYL in Mississippi, because they're usually like more classic country, and I double-checked, and the only time I heard them all week was daytime, and they were only classic country. They never had anything remotely even close to that. So I don't know who this was, but I did catch a little snippet here. I'm going to play it for you guys now. And with this snippet, my chat went to sleep. With this snippet, what you're going to hear is we're going to be coming out of a song, and then you're going to hear a female voice start to talk. She tells the name of the song and the artist of the song, and then she says her name, and there's some other stuff in there. I can't pull it out, and I'm hoping that maybe some of you guys can. So take a listen and see if maybe you might recognize what I'm hearing here. This was from 1290. This was on the 5th, around 4:42, 4:45-ish, local Central Time, okay? Okay, I just realized I didn't have my microphone on. So she just said her name was Cindy. And I did Google searches. I was looking online trying to see if there was anything like Cindy, Southern Gospel, Cindy Gospel Station. Maybe it was a syndicated program, or maybe I would get a hit on like a station schedule, right, with her name on it, Southern Gospel or whatever. Nothing. Couldn't find a thing. And I think I heard her say 1290 in here somewhere. I don't remember. Maybe my mind's playing tricks on me on that one. But I definitely heard her name Cindy. I definitely heard her say the name of the song and the artists. And then she keeps talking a bit. It kind of fades in and out. There's some porpoising going on, some QSB. But I'm going to let this one run through. I'm going to rewind it a second here, and then I'll play it all the way through the end and see if you guys can pick up any details. Cindy, what? I'm gonna rewind it here one more time. I looked up Cindy Donovan. It almost sounds like Cindy Donovan. It wasn't that. Let me rewind it a little bit more here. See if you can pick out what her last name. If we can find out her last name, that's gonna be huge because that'll be a big help. That's it. And right after that, she was gone. That was the last I heard of her and this station. They didn't come back up anytime the rest of the week. Cindy's something. One more time. I hear Cindy Donovan, Bonovan, something along those lines is what I'm hearing. One more time for the fellas here. And that's all. That's it. That's all I got. I'm 99% sure I'm not going to be able to pull anything out of this, but it might be a fun little project to continue to keep an eye on 1290 for a bit to see if we can ID this station. And John, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's usually Southern Gospel. All the times I heard when I was living in North Carolina in the mountains, because like I said, I used to have to board op a Sunday show that did Southern Gospel. So it'd be a lot of that kind of stuff, kind of that harmony vocals like that, kind of slower, but it also had did have some of those like more fast paced kind of like bluegrass kind of stuff, a little banjo action, a lot of mandolin stuff like that. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the chat here. I looked up Cindy Donovan gospel, Southern Gospel. I looked up Cindy Donovan with all those different call letters that I thought it could have been. Nothing. Didn't get a hit at all. I don't know. I'll keep listening, and you guys continue to try to see if you hear anything. And Bill, if you hear the station again with the Southern Gospel, then let's compare notes. But I'd love to add one more in. Especially, I was really hoping for something like West Virginia, because they're not too common here. But alas, we don't hear a lot of Southern Gospel down here in the Gulf South. You tend to hear it more, especially in the deep South. The Carolinas are steeped in it. Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, into West Virginia, and the northern sections of Alabama and Georgia. I haven't really heard a lot in Mississippi, but definitely northern Alabama closer to Tennessee, northern Georgia closer to Tennessee and North Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina. West of Charlotte, you're going to hear Southern Gospel predominantly there as opposed to the eastern half of the state. Western parts of Virginia, especially as you get closer like Bristol, Johnson City, Tennessee, all that kind of stuff, right? That's like the hub of the Southern Gospel world. It's right in that area. So, we'll see. We'll see if we can figure it out. It is a mystery until we can figure it out. So what we're going to do now is another little fun game. I want to see if I can get rid of my local WVOG here in New Orleans and see what's underneath. Probably going to be Rebeldy or WIBW, but we're going to give it a shot anyway and see what we can find out here. We're about to do our DXC Tweet of the Week here in a bit, so stay tuned for that. We'll do another round of shout outs as well. So if I didn't call your name in the first round and you want to get your shout out in, let me know over in the chat and I'll get you into the book and we'll get you a shout out here. We do our next look a little bit later on before we wrap things up tonight. So let's go back to 600 here. I want to do a little experiment, see if I can get rid of WVOG, shall we? Is that? I wonder if that's VOG. Probably. right, let's see if we can phase this.
Heating and AC is offered at $79 HVAC system tune-up. That's right.
Woo, let's get rid of them.
$79 to make sure your system is Stonebridge strong. Give them a call today, 903-258-9939. Or visit them online at stonebridgeac.com. That's stonebridgeac.com.
My partners had told me I should get my knee replaced. I was in my 40s, and I decided that I wouldn't do that.
Tyler, Texas.
Dr. John Herzog, who found regenerative medicine years ago and became a believer.
It changed my life. It improved me to a point where I was able to jog again.
That's when Dr. Herzog switched his focus from surgery to helping his patients with natural biologics.
I've treated at least 5,000 patients. I believe your body has everything it needs to heal itself.
Today you'll find Dr. Herzog at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in this exciting field of medicine that can give lasting pain relief with no doubt.
Tyler,
No
Texas.
drugs and no surgery.
I have patients coming up to me that I did 10 years ago saying, you know, Doc, my elbow's still working great. I'm playing tennis 3 days a week.
Call QC Kinetics now to explore alternative ways to deal with your pain. It's a free consultation. Call QC Kinetics, 430-245-9760. 430-245-9760. 430-245-9760.
Talk radio's clean up today. Believe what I say or I'll hurt you. Mark Levin is on the radio. Listen to KTVB on Alexa, brought to you by Choice Hospice. Your choice for hospice care in East Texas.
All right, so we null out WVOG here in New Orleans. We have Tyler, Texas, there waiting in the wing. I figured it was going to be them or REC or Rebeldi. And I think I need to put my South wire back up. I miss hearing down into South America and Central America. Haven't had a lot of that lately. I did want to call out something here. I want to make sure you guys are aware of. So obviously, if you're a member of the IRCA, one of the benefits is the email reflector here. With all the nice opening, I saw a word and said it. All the nice topics here for DX tips. Whenever there's like things happening that are kind of out of the ordinary, things like that, this is a great way to kind of know about it. But I did want to bring to your attention here. Where is the opening post here from Tim? A lot of folks have been very, very happy to see that Topaz Designs, the Topaz website, is back up and running. It was off for a little while, but the Topaz page is back up, has been back up and running. Well, Tim Tromp, our friend up in Michigan, just an absolutely legendary, amazing DXer. Here's stuff that the rest of us just dream about, right? Has offered here to take Barry's Canada US AM station info search page and migrate it over to his server, and so you'll still have both. So if you have the old Topaz links, that still works, but in the interim, if you go here to amdxer.com/ambc, you'll get the search page here. So there's some pretty cool stuff here. One of the cool things about it is the fuzzy logic that you can use for searching. So if it's like, I think I heard WIB, did I get all those letters? No, I didn't. If I think I heard WIBJ on, let's just, which one was that? Hold on. Let me find a good example here. I don't want to just make something up off the cuff that's not going to work, and then we're going to get frustrated. I think 1300 had one this week that I kept misplacing. Oh, I know. No, I know what it was. WJN. Let me look at 1290 WJNO. Because I kept thinking it was something else. I kept thinking it was WJNL. So we're going to use that. WKNL. 1290. Let's do a search here. Let me get fuzzier. Oh, didn't pull up anything. Oh, because I have... I have to admit, I don't use this site very often, guys. So if you have any tips here for me on what I'm doing wrong here, I was trying to see if I can get KNL to say JNO, but it's not showing me that. But anyway, you have your full station list here. So a lot of folks want to see where they can find like online, like medium wave list or Mesa Mic site, things like that. This is another one that's out there, and you see that it has format information, network information, some different bits of information like former call signs, things like that, daytime and nighttime power, antenna patterns, stuff like that. So it's a really great resource that kind of combines what you can find in a couple of different places online into this one place. And there's some other tools in here. I haven't really played around with this website over the years very much, especially since I started using Jaguar, because it's all right there on my screen for me. But I will play with this a bit more and see if I can come up with some cool stuff. If you guys have some things in the chat that you want to share, those of you who do use this website a lot, then by all means, share some tips in the chat. And next week, I'll do a deep dive into this, and we'll see if we can find some cool stuff in here that you can take advantage of. Because I know a lot of folks do find a lot of value here in this website, so I want to make sure that we're helping bring that to you guys. Because I'm DXing out of this or an NRC log, I just haven't really spent any time using this website, and I probably should have done that before I tried to bring it up, but I want to make sure, because I know a lot of you guys use this website, that you have the new link that you want to start using moving forward. Again, the old Topaz link will still work until Bill or Barry decides to pull it, but amdxer.com/AMBC. And that'll bring you to the Canada US AM station info search page. So thank you to Tim Tromp for keeping that going, and to Barry for getting it started and being a great ambassador for the hobby here to have that resource available for so many years. I know it's not easy doing that kind of stuff. So thank you to Barry for putting it out there, and Tim for continuing it going. And if you like what you see here, if you like what you see here, with these, forum and all the different topics and things like that, make sure you join ircaonline.org, and you can take advantage of that kind of stuff. You can see some of the tips when there are DX tests or an opening, or if a station's on late or a station's off the air, things like that. It's a great place to find that information. So again, ircaonline.org. And then finally, I do want to mention one other kind of cool site here that I want to make sure you guys are aware of, and that is this one, dxer.ca/blab. And if you log in here, what you'll find is we have a really cool chat for AMDX. It's an AMDX chat. Our friend Colin Newell up in British Columbia runs this one, dxer.ca/blab. And you'll see Marco's in there right now as well with us in here. So you can see all Rick's a very routine contributor, and Keegan, both Rick and Keegan are in there quite a bit, I've seen over the years, or the last year or so since I became aware of this site. So definitely check it out, dxer.ca/blab. If you're doing live DXing and you want to kind of get in there and compare notes of what other folks are hearing and things like that, this is a great place to do it and to find out. So I would encourage all of us to use these resources that are out there. If we don't use them, they're going to go away, and then we don't have anything. So I want to make sure we're using the resources that are out there, like Tim and Barry's site now, like the DX or AMDX chat, like NF8M with the nighttime patterns, things like that. So make sure we're in Mesa Mic's list, which you can export out, which is still, I use this about once a week. I'll go to Mesa Mic's website here, and I'll export out the delimited text file here, which exports out all the data that's in the whole list. And then I combine that with my logbook data here to get this percentage of states heard. So I can see, okay, how many stations are there in each state? How many have I heard? How many have I not heard? What's the percentage of heard? So I'm up to 78% now in Louisiana, which isn't too bad. 69 total stations, 54 heard, 15 left to get. Maybe we'll get there. So yeah, this is, and we teach you how to do this in case you're wondering in our, we have a YouTube video that we put up on logbook analysis. It was one that I'd wanted to do for a long time, and just never really got around to it until finally I did. You guys can see my varied interest here. from my YouTube channel here. So we've got guitar and music stuff, because I play music and I play guitar. We've got the Y files, which if you're into like cool stories of like random stuff, some coast to coast type stuff, but from a very different point of view and an intellectual, I highly recommend AJ's The Y Files. It's a great little YouTube channel. Not little, it's a great YouTube channel. Really cool content. My wife, I've got her hooked now. So there's weather stuff here. There is Call of Duty stuff, because I got the new Call of Duty. I've been playing that, so you can see some of my interest there. If we go over here to my to our channel, show you guys here. Let me just look up logbook. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted logbook. We have a 3-part series in spreadsheets and logbook analysis for AMDXing on the YouTube channel. There's one of those ads. Hey, we're making some money right now, huh? But yeah, you can see here we have this full thing. We teach you how to do pivot tables. We teach you how to do VLOOKUPs and different things like that, text to column and stuff like that we use to pull in like Mesa Mike's data and pull that into our logbook, and then do the analysis that I do on my logbook for things like the frequency and time of day, how many stations I've heard by each time of day and on each frequency, how many by month, how many by state, how many by country, by radio and antenna. So all these little things that I keep track of, my stats. This video series would teach you how to do. Speaking of our video series, though, I did want to do something really quick here. Introduction to phasers. That's what I was looking for. So let's go to our website here, or our YouTube channel, DXCentral. We actually have it easier now. YouTube.com/@DXCentral. They made it easier for us. We have new handles we can use. So instead of the /C/DXCentral that you had to remember, now it's just YouTube.com/@DXCentral. Super easy to find. I could have gone right here to the front page. It's right there. So just go to our YouTube channel. There's your 3 DX101 series on logbook analysis. There's all 3 parts right there. Here is the video I was wanting to show you guys, though. This is a little sneak peek at our video on an introduction to phasing. And so what I want to show you here, I teased it a little bit last week with our video that we put up on Twitter and in the social media. But let's just pop in here, just a random place in the video here.
Some of them, one of them might be a little bit stronger than the others, and vice versa, depending on different conditions where that particular antenna is sitting. But
I missed it.
By and large, they should be relatively pretty much the same, especially if you have them pointed in the same direction, which I do. I actually use this. This is a remote control here for my rotor. I have 2 rotor boxes here. That my loops are sitting in. It's an RCA VH-1226 rotor. And so I have 2 boxes, but this one remote will actually control both rotor boxes, both rotors.
Let me show you some of the
back and forth and
phasing work that we did here.
You see it's coming back? Go back clockwise again. Now I'm going to try got it right about here. Right about here. Now I can adjust my phase again. We're going to rock back and forth on the phase. Look at that, negative 74. They're gone. So now my local is completely gone. I've gotten it down to a nice low point here, about 70, somewhere between 70 and 74. And you can use, obviously, the signal meter here, but then that's where you start to also use your headphones or your ears to help you really kind of fine tune. So if you're still hearing any of that signal, even if the signal meter is not really doing a whole lot of difference, you can still gauge if the signal you're trying to get rid of is still there by listening to it.
All right, so there's that's a little preview of the video that we put up. 28-minute long video with everything, the introduction, the whole shebang, introducing phasing as a technique for AMDXing. So if you've been interested in phasing or wondering kind of how it can help you with your DX, check us out. Again, youtube.com/@DXCentral. Check out the phasing video and see if that would be something that you might want to take advantage of if you're not doing so already. All right, so let's do a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to do some more live DX, and we have top of the hour coming up. We'll do our DXC tweet of the week coming up here in a bit, and one more round of shout outs before we adjourn for the night. So stay tuned, my friends. More DX Central Live is coming up right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News member bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. My friends, thank you so much for being part of the fun. I saw Bart in there. Rick's now in there, and everybody's in the chat having a good time. So join us in there if you would like. We'd love to have you be part of the fun, or if you just want to lean back in a nice easy chair with a beverage and listen to the fun and watch the show. Not gonna complain about that either. That sounds awesome. We're gonna do some more live DX here in a few moments. We're also going to be pulling up our DXC tweet of the week, and talking a bit about that. Actually, let's go ahead and do that now. I want to pull up want to pull up our tweet of the week. And the reason that I think this is deserving of the tweet of the week is because of the conversation that this has elicited on Twitter. And this is the kind of stuff when I see conversations around AM or FM, because remember we also do FMDX here, we're not just an AMDX place, AM or FMDX, and it's kind of like, especially for folks who are getting started, I always get nervous that there's going to be this mentality that comes in from more seasoned veterans of kind of like, I don't want to say talking down to people, but that can happen sometimes. And you know, obviously the person that did this tweet is a very experienced DXer in general, but they're getting into FMDX now, or wanting to try out FMDX. So I just wanted to make sure I was very, but the people that this person pulled into the conversation are fantastic people. So I didn't see any chance that they were going to be disparaging towards the newbie. We do that sometimes in the radio hobby. Ham radio, DX, shortwave. I mean, I've lived it. I've seen it since I was a kid. In this hobby with all the clubs, sometimes not NRC, IRCA as much, but some of the other clubs, especially shortwave clubs, it was pretty bad, right? Newbies would just get dragged sometimes, and there's no reason for it. There's no reason for that. So I'm really glad to see a really healthy conversation happening on social media, for one, that really ever happens, and two, for this particular purpose, because it was a chance for this person, myself included, and anyone else who was kind of watching this conversation to get some really good information on FMDX. And that leads us to our DXC tweet of the week.
It's time for the DX Central Live hashtag tweet of the week. Tweet. Tweet, tweet.
All right, we go to our friend KX9X Sean, who got New Mexico this week on AM, but he's saying might want to dip his toe into broadcast FM. Any recommendations on a good entry-level FM antenna? Omnidirectional preferred, no rotor or mass space left. And then our friend Paul over in Ireland, who is just a remarkable FM DXer, started kind of talking in about some different options. And you'll see this conversation went through, and there was, different opinions, as there always will be when this kind of stuff happens, when we're talking about, what's a good option, what are some things we can look at. But Paul always does a fantastic job at bringing in some technical information into these kinds of conversations, and I've learned a lot from reading Paul's stuff, watching some of his stuff of what he's been able to pull in and how he does it. And then our friend Les Rayburn, N1LF in Alabama, also chimed in with some information here on some omnidirectional antennas that he uses and what that actually helped him capture. This was some RDSD codes he captured with that antenna. So yeah, I think, I loved it, and the reason that I wanted this to be the tweet of the week was it was an honest question, right? And we got just fantastic responses from the community. So thank you guys who were involved here in this conversation for helping our friend Sean here out with some advice for FMDX, because it's a whole different animal than AM. You can be a tremendous AMDXer, but FM is a whole other monster, and so you have to kind of get used to that adjustment. So kudos to Sean for getting into FMDX now, hopefully, and to everyone involved in providing some really great information for our DXC tweet of the week.
It's time for the DX Central Live hashtag tweet of the week. Tweet. Tweet, tweet.
All right, let's go back to our live DX. We're going to go take it back down to 580. It looks like Dennis has some carriers he's seeing on 580. I think he said at 026, 580 026. Let me check my list. I don't know if I've seen anything at 026. Actually, no, I take that back. To be ELO in Tupelo, Mississippi. We'll see if they're in here. Right there. 580.027, 95 watts, Tupelo. I don't see anybody else. So they would be over here off to the side. I'm not seeing them. Let me switch to my northeast wire, though. IBW in there. Here we go. 059. There's an Ecuadorian on 059. I think you said you got your Kaz pointing south now, right? 10 kilowatt. Right there on the west coast of Ecuador. You're damn right. But they're at 059, Dennis, so keep chasing that sucker. You might have just given me a new one to target when I swing my antennas back, my Kaz back south again here soon. Yeah, south-southwest, that would make sense. But you're seeing a carrier there. 10K out of Ecuador, you wouldn't think would get out very far, but it does. It does. So keep on that one. I want to stamp a passport for you next week. I am, Barry. I absolutely am. I miss my Southern Kaz. The Superloop has been great. That Southern Kaz is something a whole different, though. Means I make another trip to the hardware store and buy some more wire. Another spool of wire, 500 feet. Yeah! I didn't see it yet, Rick. Shoot it back over. I do. Was that DBO? I got you, Rick. I got you.
Learn more about your body's powerful self-healing abilities. Contact Kansas Street Family Medical Center in Harmony, Kansas City. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
For example, Stanford Sector J. One more time. From the Charger West boys knock off Shawnee High School. One breaking for this week. And Larry Ladder wrapping things up with you from Clemson School.
Weather, traffic,
scoreboard in our first game of the evening. It was the Shawnee Heights girls knocking off the West Coast 42-33 by a 17-point average from a Taylor Roddick house tonight. Meanwhile, first quarter around the area after 3 quarters down in Euphoria. Aiden in all two, 4-point lead over Euphoria, 43-39. Other scores from around the area. Lawrence High, they've got a lead at halftime of their game, 37-2.
All right, so that was 580. Let's go back to 590 here. Top of the hour and see what we had. So, recapping 580, we had WDBO. Right before top of the hour, we had IBW in Topeka, and we had KJMJ here in Alexandria with the gospel, the Catholic Radio Maria. Here on 590, we typically have tonight been hearing Mexico. Let's see what we have though. Hold on. I think that's Lexington, isn't it? Because we got that top of the hour last time. Okay, so we got Lexington again, and this time actually I got a good ID that I'm going to use for an air check for the YouTube channel. Yay! For the collection. Let me go back again here on that. Okay, so yeah, VLK, which I'm gonna go ahead and mark that here on my map so that I don't forget that we've gotten it here. And I need to put that in my logbook, and that's gonna be number 605 here in Mandeville. So very, very cool. VLK 605. We've also heard Mexico here, Cuba, and Austin, Texas as a regular visitor here as well on the frequency, especially when we have our loop or our Northwest CAS up. What else do we have? Let's go back and check 600 one more time as well and see what we had top of the hour here.
AM 600 WVOG New Orleans, FM 107.9 W300VP, New Orleans Ministry Station. AM 600 WVOG New Orleans, FM 107.9 W300VP, New Orleans Ministry Station.
I think it was KTBB again in Tyler. So we've got them and VOG. Haven't heard REC yet tonight, but I'm sure they're there. The only time I've heard WBOB on 600 was during the DX test. I haven't heard them, which is actually kind of surprising because normally when you're kind of on that same kind of latitude line, you usually have a pretty good shot at them, I have found, historically, in my experience. But whatever. Let's do another round of shout outs. So if you have new logs, new states, new countries, tell me over in the chat now. Let me know and we'll get you a shout out in here. While we're looking for those, giving you guys a chance to type those in, I'm just going to do those live. Let's look at what we had here this week at DX Central. I should make a little intro for that. This week at DX Central. It started off really, really hot. I was actually not even on our frequencies of the week for this first one. I don't know why. I just went down to 540. I don't usually go down to 540 because it's XEWA or it's Florida or it's Monroe, right? Those are the three stations that just... But I just went down, was reviewing a sunrise recording, a morning recording, and loudly dominating the frequency. I'm not even talking like they were just like dominating the frequency. Was WAUK in Jackson, Wisconsin. Got a really nice air check for the collection as well from that one at 0600 local time. Really nice. I could have sworn it would have been Monroe or someone like that, but no, it was WAUK in Jackson. I was shocked when I heard those call letters. I went, ooh. I was able to add in WIRL in Peoria. KGLO that was 1290, obviously, WIRL. KGLO in Mason City. This was one that really surprised me too on 1300. Caught them right as the gray line was right about where they were at, and then I guess they switched power and they were gone. But I caught them right in that brief moment of gray line enhancement. KUOA in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. Hope I'm saying that right, Keegan. Siloam Springs. Thanks to a tip from Les Rayburn, you guys might have known that we had a tip that WSM 650 was going to be doing some off-air maintenance, or low-powered maintenance, I guess. They were going to power down until about 6 o'clock one night, and so that gave us, because of the sunset periods, a little window, which maybe we can find something else on 650. Well, that didn't bear out. They didn't do that long. They actually got it done early. But the very next night, he let us know that KIKK in Pasadena, Texas was actually on late, or being heard later than they usually are. And I was able to snag them at around 5 o'clock Central Time here. KIKK had a promo for the Texas Bowl between Ole Miss and Texas Tech, and then they went talking about some stuff with the Rangers, and was a station I last heard when I was in San Antonio. So very happy to add them. And anytime you get something new on 650, that's a big deal. WCBL Benton, Kentucky on 1290, and then the one I heard last night on the iPad DXing from bed, KAKC, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1300 at 0100 Central Time. So those are the new ones that we got this week. No new states, no new countries, but 8 new logs this week for us here at DX Central. So we'll go ahead and saw some logs. Oh, that's right. I'm not on the right. So now we'll go ahead and saw some logs. All right, let's do a quick look over here in the chat. Anybody have? Okay, Rick. 1600 KEPN in Lakewood, Colorado, and WUCT in Allgood, Tennessee. 2 new ones for Rick this week from Southern Omaha. Yeah. Oh, and Bill, you will love that loop antenna. I have been trying out the MLA 30 Plus and the K180. I have not been impressed with either of those antennas when I compare it to even the portable, smaller version of the W6 LVP loop. beats both of those antennas in the comparisons that I've done so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video on those antennas. I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't think it's a fair comparison, honestly. Especially if you're comparing it to the full-blown W6LVP loop, there's no comparison. That one just blows it away. So you guys if I do a video, you're already going to know the intel already. And you guys know I don't typically do like this one's better than that one, because there's all kinds of conditions and variables and things like that come into play. But I'll tell you right now, I know it's a little more expensive for the W6LVP loop. It's American made. You get American support from Larry Plummer here in the States for our USDXers. Obviously, if you're in England, the Wellbrook's going to be great. But that's so expensive to get over here from England to the US that the W6LVP is absolutely worth consideration. And for me, it's worth every penny. So, but I've beat that horse so many times. Dennis, I got your note about the screenshot, so thank you. I'll keep an eye out for that. Rick, to answer your question on the Sony, I have a old Radio Shack amplifier that sits right here, and then from that I have just these little speakers right here. You can't really see it very well, but this is the speaker. Let me see if I can light this guy here. So there's a speaker right there. All right. So that's coming out of the back of that Radio Shack amplifier. And then that Sony is going through that. So that's what I'm using. It's an old receiver, FM AM receiver with inputs for like CD and things like, it was what I used to use for surround sound before I had surround sound. I didn't actually have surround sound. I had a 2.1 system, but that's what powered it. And then for the antenna right now, this is what I'm using for the antenna right now. Obviously, I don't have it connected. This is my home built. Let's see if I can get this. So there's the F connector for it. My Faulkner loop that I made. I made two of these, one for me and one for Pops. I gave him the better one. This one was my first one, my prototype. I learned some made some mistakes on this one, learned from those, made the better one, gave that to him. It works really, really well. It works really, really, really well on FM. The hardest part, obviously, is tuning it to get it resonant on the right kind of middle frequency, or wherever you want it to be resonant at. So trimming up the coax here that's on the outside to the right lengths is the hardest part. But that's what I'm using right now. What I want to do, though, is I have my 4-element Yagi up in the air right now. That's running through my Elad FDMS3 SDR. I want to use that on the Sony, and I want to get a much, much bigger FM antenna for the SDR, because that's going to be my primary DX machine. I'm going to be using the Sony for spotting DX opportunities or when things are coming in. But I want the big antenna to be on the one I'm doing my full band recordings and stuff like that. So I'm gonna probably go with let me see if I can pull them up on the screen here for you guys. Of antennas. They're not the cheapest option. But Inov Antennas, they're over in the UK. But they've got some really, really good antennas for FM DX. If you go here to the broadcast section, here, there's an 11 element. You can see it's not cheap. But this is some of the stuff I'm considering is something along these lines, like a 8, 9, 10 element FM Yagi. That I would put up and replacing the FM Yagi I have now, the 4-element, and then, or actually probably just putting up this one and in addition to the 4-element, because the 4-element is going to go to the Sony. So that's what I have now. But right now the Sony's working off that Faulkner loop, and it works really, really well. I just have a little PVC stand, the same ones that I use for my portable AMDX with the loops. I have that little portable stand. I'll set it up over here at the doorway in my shack, and I'll just turn it where it needs to go, and it does really, really well. So I think if I can pull up Faulkner FM loop for anyone who might need it. This is where I think it was that I got the dimensions and everything from on the Faulkner loop. You can do a Google search for Faulkner FM loop if you want to build one of these. And it's actually, when you see the intro videos for the live stream, you see me building an antenna that kind of looks like that one. I was working on a video for it. I need to redo it because I didn't get all the footage that I wanted to. So I might build another one of these this spring and put the video up on the channel, because I didn't get a chance to actually finish the video last time. I ran out of storage room and all that kind of stuff on the SD cards and all that great goodness. So that Faulkner loop, by the way, that's what I'm using indoors. I'm using that indoors, and it works fine. It works fine. I used to use it when I was in Charleston indoors, and it works really, really well. I've waterproofed it in case I do need to put it outside for any reason, and I could maybe put like on a little patio out here in the back, but more than likely it's going to be sitting right over here behind me until I can replace it with something else. So yeah, the Faulkner loop is a really, really good option. Bill wants to know, for the W6 LVP, are we running an adapter and using RG6 quad shield? Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. I have RG6 quad shield terminated with an F connector going into an F to B and C connector that goes up into the antenna, and then that quad shield I have running underneath the soffit of the outside of the house into my window panel, which has SO239 bulkheads. I have an F to 259 adapter there, and then I have an jumper that comes in from there to the loops, to the SDRs rather. So I'm sure I'm probably mixing some 75 ohm and some 50 ohm in there. I haven't really noticed much of a difference. I haven't noticed any degradation or anything, but no, it does work really, 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 really super, really awesome well. And when I have it, the portable version out, like at the beach side or even in the hotel room, like you can go find, I've mentioned it many, many times, but my Omaha playlist, my Lake Forest playlist that I have up on our YouTube channel with all of the stuff that I caught from those two locations, all of it was the portable W6 LVP loop sitting inside of a hotel. I just turned it till I got rid of the noise and let it roll. And man, the DX just poured in. Some real, I heard Cuba from Southern California on a loop inside a hotel. I mean, it was just that good. It was that good. From Omaha, I was hearing all kinds of stuff. Montana, up into Alberta, Saskatchewan. I really wanted to hear British Columbia, but I didn't make that happen. Heard it in Pennsylvania, down here into New Orleans. Heard all over from Omaha with that loop sitting in a hotel room. So take with that as you will. All right, I think we are about wrapping up for tonight. We recapping what we did. We had a great night. We logged a new one to be VLK in Lexington, Kentucky. So we got a new one for the log already from this challenge. And we'll saw the log for that next week. And we caught quite a few stations already on our three main frequencies of the week: 580, 590, and 600 kilohertz. And again, the blog post is up at the website, so you can go ahead and find that now if you need to, with the link for the Google form, with the results from last week, the expanded band. That video is up, all that kind of stuff. So definitely check it out, dxcentralonline.com. And as well, don't forget, if you have not yet done so, make sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up on the video. We appreciate that support, especially now that we've got the monetization going. We can take that money and put it back into the channel. Well, all that stuff helps the algorithm. It helps us to continue to keep things rolling here. So, my friends, hopefully you have a great week at DX. I'm still kind of thinking through our plans as we get closer to the holidays. Family will be coming into town. The elder Van Horns will be coming to town for the holidays. So thinking through our plans of what we're going to do for that week around Christmas and the week after. Maybe take a little siesta, a little break around there. Haven't decided just yet. Also have an idea that Sean actually proposed for a new challenge or a variation of the challenge that I might try out. I'm kind of thinking how I would want to do it. So we may have another challenge on the way here pretty soon, in addition to the ones we're already doing. Oh, speaking of, let's do a really quick check before I forget. Let's look at the TIS hard challenge and see where we are with that. Here we go. All right, I think John's probably still gonna be crushing it here, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean, John's got 14 so far, but we do have Steve in there, Barry, Bill. There's another Bill in there. Yeah, so you guys are bringing it. Yeah, we got some entries already. So if you have not yet pulled anything into the TIS hard challenge, go to dxcentralonline.com, go up here to the top where you see the menu, and then scroll down until you'll see TIS hard challenge right here under the more heading. And there you go. Everything you need is right here. We've got the links for the IRCA TIS hard list. You've got the entry form right here and so forth. So definitely make sure you're out there trying to hear those, especially if you're doing any traveling, because we do have both a home and rover category. So you can enter your home stuff, and you can also enter rover stuff if you're out driving around during the holidays or traveling during the holidays or in a different location. Rick, if you're out in your travels, you hear some different TISs than what you normally hear, by all means, throw them in the challenge. We'd love to see it in there. So, all right, that'll do it for my friends for this edition of DX Central Live. Thank you again so much for all of your continued support. We appreciate you more than you know. Good luck in this week's challenge. This will be a fun one. Down low is always fun. 580, 590, 600. You never know what you're going to hear. You think it's going to be one thing, and then there's Nicaragua beating out Cuba, beating out your local. You can't explain it, but there they are. So the low end of the band can do some really interesting things. You just get Wisconsin randomly in one morning on 540. Never heard them before. Don't know if you hear them again, but there they were, right? So the low end of the band can produce some interesting stuff. We'll see what happens this week. Till next time, my friends, we'll see you this time next week, 6:45 Central Time, 00:45 UTC, right here from the North Shore Studios in Mandeville, Louisiana for DX Central Live. Take care, my friends. 73, best of DX. Take care.
This is DX Central Live.